spaces on these homes. But we turned some of these possibilities to do RV garages as actually apartments possibilities. So it gravitated towards that. So that's where we are today.
Okay, and that's good use of thinking out of the box. So I thank you ahead of time for doing that. Now for the actual, there's different opportunities that we want to do for housing, as you heard earlier about different impact fees for Nexus. So definitely, that's one thing that if there's ADUs on some of these, I would say that could potentially be exempt because that's helping part of a program to provide housing. I just want to get that thought out there and then discuss it further. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Debbie?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I'm sorry. Debbie?
I already spoke.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I lost track. I've looked at your proposal, and I agree with Jose. I think the ADU, the unit itself looks really, really nice. It's a bedroom, a bathroom, kitchenette, and a great room. I think it would work well in that subdivision. My only other comment would be, you have the 2-car garage for the dwelling, but what about parking for the ADU unit? Are you proposing anything?
Well, it would just have part of the driveway. It's not going to have a
Part
garage.
of the driveway? Okay. Okay. Well, I would like to make the same motion we did on the previous subdivision, except that we would exempt the ADU units within the development. And the fee would apply at the time of building permit issuance.
Right. Well, I guess my only thought process, Mayor, is that as staff had stated in their opening statements, is that we're a non-vesting map, so we're subject to any fees that you guys implement at the time they're implemented. So I don't know that there's a condition that has to be stated in this deal, because we're, again, if fees go up or you change fees or you implement additional fees, we are mandatory we have to pay them anyway.
Okay. I can't get you to agree.
Well, I think I'm in agreement. I think there's no, I think what staff had said is correct. Is we have to pay fees
I understand. I don't disagree with staff, and I don't disagree with you. I was trying to get you to agree, but.
Well, that's fine. Well, I guess I agree, but.
There you go. That was hard, I know.
All right.
Okay, so that was my motion.
I second on that.
All right, roll call.
Councilmember Brighton Booker.
Yes, to close the public hearing.
He did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Closed.
Councilmember Brighton Booker.
No.
Moorhead.
Well, since the applicant agreed to pay it, yes.
Singh.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nuno.
Yes.
Mayor Cantu.
Yes. All right, let's move on to D3.
D3. Adopt a resolution extending the approval of the Diamond Villas Tentative Subdivision Map for 3 years.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Before you tonight is an extension for a tentative subdivision map for a townhome project called Diamond Villas. Before we get started, it is important to note that this is just a regular tentative subdivision map rather than a vesting tentative subdivision map, meaning that if approved, this project will be required to pay all adopted fees that are in place at time of building permit issuance. So the entitlement you're reviewing is a request to extend the tentative subdivision map for 3 years. The project is to subdivide 2.919 acres into 43 multifamily residential lots to be used as townhomes that will include common areas. So this here is the zoning map for the project. The site was rezoned to planned development with the original approval from high-density residential to planned development to accommodate for the unique characteristics of the development. This project will be on an infill lot, which is important to the city, as one of the goals of the general plan's housing element is to promote infill development. The project will fit in well with the surrounding area because to the north we have high-density residential sites and to the south are medium-density residential sites. The project will also create a nice housing transition from the commercial uses along Main Street to the east and lower density residential to the west. Additionally, this is a good project because townhomes are an uncommon housing type in Manteca and will provide a different type of housing option for Manteca residents. This is the original tentative subdivision map that was approved. The project was originally approved by City Council on June 6th of 2017, but has since expired. The project, as stated previously, consists of 43 multifamily units, ranging from approximately 1,800 square feet to 2,200 square feet. The development will also include amenities.
Excuse me. Did you say the map is already expired?
Correct. That's why they were applying for an extension. Or they applied prior to the expiration.
Okay. Thank you.
The development includes amenities such as an outdoor area with a pool and a clubhouse and a fitness center. Based on the information provided in the staff report, staff recommends the City Council adopt Resolution 1551 to extend the tentative subdivision map for Diamond Villas for 3 years, not to exceed September 1st, 2023. And again, it is important to note that this is not a vesting tentative map, meaning they will be required to pay all required fees that are in place when they are applying for building permits. So that concludes my presentation. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. The applicant and his team are here as well to answer additional questions.
Okay, I have a question before the applicant speaks. Can you reassure me that the city has the ability to add additional conditions or request changes to the map through this process?
Can I assure you that? No, I cannot.
No, I'm asking staff.
That's correct,
okay.
yeah. Yes, you can apply additional conditions.
And amend the map or the design?
No. It would need to be in substantial conformance with the already approved tentative subdivision map.
Do we all have the ability to deny it?
Correct.
All right. Okay. Applicant?
Mayor, would you like
Gary?
to open the public hearing, Mayor, please?
Yes.
You have to open up the public hearing.
Oh, David, thank you. Open the public hearing. Okay, Gary.
Okay, my name is Gary Rogers. I'm the project architect, and we've been working on this project for over 3 years. We bought this piece of property then. It's an infill piece of property. We have looked at the whole city at that time, and we felt that this would fit good for this area. These lots are quite small lots. We had to keep them small and to keep the price down. We're trying to build affordable housing here. And I think we met the mark. These houses would be selling for $360,000 to $385,000, which is below the threshold for affordable housing. You cannot rent an apartment as cheap as you can buy most of these houses. We really feel that it took us a long time, but now we have the money available to build this out, and we will be through with this development in probably 1.5 years. So we would just really love to get started on this. And we would ask that you extend it so we can go ahead and get our plans in and proceed working with this. And I would really appreciate it. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Staff, anybody else? Any comments?
Mayor, we have 2 other comments that came for this item tonight. Fire danger to neighbors and invite lots of criminals. New townhomes will bring educated citizens from the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. This will add tax revenue to the city for better services to the community. Highly paid families will help the revenue of existing businesses. We are very happy to see new families moving into our neighborhood in place of a junkyard. And the other comment is from, once again, Manteca Unified School District. Manteca Unified School District hereby submits the following comments on the Diamond Villas Tentative Subdivision Map Extension SDX 20-46. The district has been entrusted with providing quality education to the current and future students of this community. We believe the City Council would agree expectations for developers are to provide quality housing projects that will serve the citizens of this community without creating negative impacts. To maintain necessary funds for students in classroom, a partnership is critical with local developers. The district is consistent in reaching out to all developers in order to discuss the financial amount required to mitigate impacts to school facilities. The project proponent has not met with the district as of today, and therefore the district cannot support this project. The district would like to emphasize the importance of the continued collaboration between the district, developers, and city through the entire entitlement process in order for growth to be orderly and well planned. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in the review process and for your consideration of the above. And that's all of the public comments we received, Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Rogers?
Yes, sir.
What about that school fee? What's going to happen with that?
We feel that we shouldn't be penalized because we want to build 43 houses. We want to pay the standard fee that the school fee requires, which is $3.60 or whatever it is. We do not think they should impose a $13 square foot fee on us because we want to build more houses than one. We think we went through this 3 years ago, and we think it's wrong. And I don't think the law of California right now will allow them just to say, we're going to charge you $13 and some odd cents a foot when the rate is $3 and something afoot. We will pay the school fees that's required by the school and city.
Did they give you a reason why?
Rate to build classroom square foot price. Cheap, really. I have built schools before, and you cannot build a school for $13 and some odd cents a square foot. More like $300 to $400. So I don't know where the heck they're coming up with that figure. But I've been listening all night, and it's the same thing that they try to do. Every one of these subdivisions, they want this. They want the same thing, and it's not right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
No, that's it, Mayor. You can close the public hearing
All
if
right.
you'd like.
Close the public hearing. Jose?
Sure. So first of all, Gary, Mr. Rogers, thank you for bringing forward this project. I know that it does look like another alternative for housing for not just current people who live here in Manteca, but for also other people who are looking for housing in our community. You said you've been working on it for 3 years. Was there a different design previous to this? You're on mute, sir.
You're muted. Gary, you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
We tried to get this program going 3 years ago. Unfortunately, the money, we were not able to purchase the money. But now we do have the money, and we had come back into it, and we kept the property for 3 years. And we've been begging everybody for money, and we got the money to build this because we really feel the city needs this affordable housing. In fact, it will help the city on their quota for their housing, affordable housing. You got 43 homes that are all affordable.
And I definitely see that. So thank you for this, because it is a different alternative. As you had heard from previous, we are encouraging affordable housing, attainable housing, and we do have different developers in the community who want to get to that goal as well. So I'm happy to see that this is coming through to a vacant piece of land that really, as you heard a previous speaker say, has been pretty, it's been utilized as a garbage dump for a while, unfortunately. So I'm glad that we can probably put something there that's going to help our community. That's all, Mayor.
Okay. David?
I think this is a good infill project, and I'd like to see it continue. That's it.
All right. Okay. Debbie? Debbie?
Sorry, I was muted. I think it's a great idea. I mean, that lot has been such a mess, and this is a great project, and so I think it will really be an asset to the downtown.
Okay. Gary?
Yes. Again, this is exactly what we were talking about. As a project, we always talk about trying to get diversity of housing, different types of housing product. And this brings that product. This lot's been a nightmare with all the garbage dumps and all the problems there. So getting this cleaned up would be another plus. I know we've been talking about affordable housing fees, but I think this project is the other side of that, is what we were talking about is what we're going to do with those fees. This is the type of project that we should be looking at to encourage and as an infill project, this is, affordable, attainable as we think about it. And it's definitely a different product for our city, and I'm happy to see it.
Okay. Jose, I have a question for you.
Yes, Mayor.
Mr. Rogers indicated the price range was between 365 and 385,000 for the unit. Is that what you would consider affordable or attainable?
Well, I'll take a further step just because earlier Councilmember Singh mentioned about 350, what that kind of gets you, the map, about $1,500 a payment. And then on top of that, and he can add more to it, but I'm sure there's the property taxes, there's insurance. I think there's on top of that. It's going to cost money to be a homeowner, a payment. And most people, to be there, they probably rent it out for a while or to start a home like this. I think the Manteca market, regardless, because of where we are at, it's going to be a little bit higher than our neighboring cities. So I think to try to think $300,000 homes, it could happen, but that means down the road when something recession hits, right? I mean, there's always up and down cycles, and that's always when prices change. But it sounds like a lot of money because it is a lot of money, but it's also our community where we're at. It's Manteca. This is it's our proximity to the Silicon Valley. That's the bigger piece, why we also have that. The average income of a family of four, I guess I'll give you this number, is 60,000. An average family. And what you're seeing here in Manteca, you're also seeing a couple of families getting together, right? You see that. So because affordability is really tough. So if there's a townhome product, it reminds me of, I haven't seen the rendering, but it could be like some of our current development that we have on near Cherry Lane, right? Some townhome style stuff. So
Call Phyllis.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I did see that. Thank you, Mayor. I did see that.
There you go.
Thanks. It's not going to be as cheap as we want it to be, but one thing that I see a win here is the fact that it's an alternative to different type of housing for that waitress you mentioned, or for that young professional who came back from college or whatnot. I mean, there is a lot of different opportunities, and it's not just going to be people from the Bay Area that a lot of people think. I mean, most of us are from Central Valley, and that's all we are. So it's a variety of options. Those are my thoughts on it. It's going to be higher cost in some neighboring cities.
Okay, but within the income ranges for Manteca based on the county regional housing assessment,
right?
Would you consider these to be affordable at the moderate range at 385,000?
It's going to be, to answer your question, it'll be a little bit higher than medium, just because if you go by, it's going to be like 100% of AMI, not the 80%. That's, and I think from a real estate perspective, Gary can probably give some numbers on that piece. So it's not going to be, it's going to be entry level housing, but it's the next step from somebody who's been renting, who's been working towards that next step.
Yeah. All right. The reason I'm asking this question, Mr. Rogers, is that you coined it as affordable. It's not affordable. It is another option as far as available housing option for the community, but it's not affordable. But beyond that,
Mayor, let me ask you, what do you consider affordable?
It's not up to me. It's up to the county and the regional housing assessment and the income level ranges that they provide.
And it's coming from HUD, so it's federal level. These are definitions from HUD.
So if it's going to be affordable, it needs to fall within those categories. Simply building smaller, highly dense market rate housing is not affordable. It's getting closer, but you can't call it affordable.
But if you look at our region, and like Vice Mayor Nuno just said,
Gary, I'm not looking at it. The county has already done that.
I know, if you look
But
at
you got to
the
hear
county,
it. So I think you got to hear it, Mayor.
if you look at our region and our county and what our county says, you know, our average income is $5,000 a month. You take $5,000 and 35% of that, which is considered affordable, that means that you can afford up to a $1,800 payment. What our average resident in our county can afford. And this hits that. So I don't know, that's from your county.
Well,
I don't know if you're thinking average, well, I mean, what do you think is average income in our county?
My counter to that, Councilmember Singh, would be like the HUD definition would be 30%. So you're off by a couple $100, which it'd be $1,500. So the definition, you're $1,500, right? So
We're still there.
Yeah.
Especially with the current interest rates, you're actually lower. And the other option that this brings.
Let me just say, if we weren't at the interest rates we are now, I would agree with you. But that's not reality. 5 years from now, it's going to go back up where it was before we hit this recession period we're in. And that's my point. These numbers that the county has done in their assessment of the regional housing needs were based back in 2014, 2013.
Can I get more fast, guys? We're just doing the extension of the map.
What's that?
Can we please get back on the task? We're just doing the extension of the map. The extension. You guys are going off subject again.
I don't think so. It's an evaluation of this project. Maybe we don't want to extend it.
So I guess I would go back to, what you're saying between interest rates. Interest rates have held pretty well if you look at the last decade. And even at 30% MI, you're still doing really good in our county. This provides, another thing is that this type of development also provides many other lending options that would not be available in a normal subdivision. So I think you're going to see, the problem is usually normally, even if you look in this market, even if you try to do affordable housing or you try to give down payment assistance, that person is competing with the regular buyer out there. And his offer will never get accepted because he's coming in with all these assistant programs. When somebody else is coming in with 20% down, on a realtor's perspective or a seller perspective, they want to take the other one.
No, and I understand that. I understand what you're saying. You can't mix the low income folks with the market rate folks because they'll get into disagreements over who's making more money. I understand. But
so Mayor, I think it would be more appropriate to be like it's affordable market rate entry level housing. I think that's where we're at. And but I am excited to see it coming.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I don't disagree. Let's just make sure we don't call it affordable. It is a housing option, and there is a market for it, and I understand that. But I have some comments on your design, Mr. Rogers. I had the opportunity, and I don't know if the rest of the council members did, but I had an opportunity to blow this thing up so I could actually see the numbers and the measurements and the other detail of the project. I frankly am not happy with the design. It does provide a housing option. It is an infill project, but there's no quality of life built into it. Yes, you have a pool. Yes, you have a rec room, but you have no open space. And what little yard area you provide for each unit includes a storm drainage basin. And then whatever other open space you have is a storm drainage basin. I really have a problem with this project, the way it's designed. It needs to at least provide some form of open space, a better quality of life for these residents. You essentially, in my estimation, you've taken a standard subdivision and crammed it all into 2 acres and taken away all the open space and the quality of life. How big are these units, sir?
They're 1,800 to 2,200 square feet, sir.
Exactly.
And I will tell you right now, we have met the requirements for open space. We have given each one of them a backyard that you don't have on a lot of your subdivisions. We have tried to put in this subdivision the same thing that you would have on a larger lot, just because the lot's not 50 by 100 foot long. These people, this was really a good layout. I don't know, really, I've been designing these things for 60 years, and it is a nice layout. And so I just feel offended when you say something like that. And I'm sorry that you don't like it.
Well, I have a problem with it because your open space is basically the streets.
No, that's not true. It's not true. It's not true. We have open lawn, we have play areas, we have volleyball court, we have a swimming pool, we have all of that. If you look at the map, you can see that, sir.
I've done that. I've blown it up.
I've looked at it again.
I've looked at it many times.
Sorry, Mayor, the applicant's already had his time to speak, and
I'm not gonna argue with you about it, but I've got 45 years of design experience and a land use planner, and you're absolutely right. You've maximized every square inch, but you've done it at the sacrifice of quality of life amenities. So we need a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We need to close the public hearing first.
Oh, David.
He already had closed the public hearing.
The public hearing was already closed, so you're good, Mayor.
Oh, it was?
Yep, you're
Thank
good.
you. I know you're getting back at me, David.
I didn't hear you, sorry.
It's all right. Okay, we need a motion in a second.
I make a
Motion made.
We already got it.
You did it? Thank you.
Motion in a second?
Yeah.
Yes.
What was the motion?
To approve the project the way it's been presented by staff.
Okay.
And I second that.
All right, we have a motion in a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Brandenbooker,
Yes.
Moorhead,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nuno,
Yes.
Mayor Cantu.
I'm going to qualify my yes. Staff needs to do a better job of helping design these projects. Yes.
We also need an extension of time right now for the council meeting.
What time is it? Ooh, 8 minutes over.
Thank you.
Let's take a 10-minute break, Mayor. Can we do that?
Okay,
Thank you.
10-minute break. 10-minute break.
right. Get my earphones back in here so I can hear what the hell's going on. So it looks like they're at a break for 10 minutes. They went over, I guess, the 10 p.m. allotted time for the city council meeting. I am noticing that either my laptop or there's something that's struggling with the feed. So hopefully that'll be resolved when I get the other computer. But we will try to. I noticed I think I had less issues with the window kind of smaller. So maybe it's just when it goes into full screen it starts struggling. So I'm trying to watch my other iPad, which is streaming. I'm kind of keeping a watch over all this right now. So they're at a 10-minute break right now, and I will probably break myself, and we'll wait for them to come back. Thank you. All right, sorry about that. I'm gonna get some water real quick. So it sounds like the particular deal they were talking about. Let me see if there was. I remember they said Lincoln transportation D1. We had the first reading in this. Parkwood, Woodward, no. They mentioned Lincoln, this subdivision. I don't know, it's kind of confusing to read. But it looks like the developer and the city council kind of were talking back and forth about, I guess essentially whenever they build a new subdivision, that developer has to pay, I guess, like per square foot whenever they build, I guess, for a house, that is allocated towards like the school district. Obviously, if there are going to be more people living in the area, there's going to be children, and that was essentially those houses. I guess maybe like a Mellaroo or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a city council. I don't freaking understand. It was kind of a fair cost, this $3 a square foot type deal, but city council was talking about like a $13 fee for these houses. So obviously they didn't come into a agreement, and I guess that's where it's at. So they were trying to build 43 affordable housing units, but the prices and whatnot, I don't know if it's townhome style, which kind of reminds me of like Livermore where it's like those 3-story type units are all real tightly close together. They're maybe trying to build something like that, more affordable housing here in the city. So we are waiting for them to come back, and hopefully the stream will stay. Stream will be more stable, hopefully. But let me see if I can go back. I wanted to find out. They mentioned Lincoln, and I was trying to find out where the initial subdivision they were talking about. So we're coming up on the, I guess, project update for the Union Road and 120. That's where it is, Diamond Villas. The coming up on the 120 and Union Road interchange update on that, and we still got to get an update map. And I don't know if this is going to work on Streamlabs because I'm not attached to that window. Yeah, is it going to work? No, it's not. Okay, let me do something real quick. Bear with me. So we got time until they we're going to choose display. And for this display, I'm going to choose display capture. And we're going to do the entire deal, which is fine. Okay, so that's that, and let me see if that's going out live the way I want it to, and it looks like it is. You guys can hear me still? Yeah, okay, just making sure. So that was the, so this is North Grant Avenue on the left. This is Lincoln Avenue on the right. And they have this Golden Avenue, and Silver Way, I guess, would be for this new proposed plan. Homes you would see like in Livermore. Let me go back to where you have like your clubhouse, a pool, patio, you know, all the amenities and whatnot, kind of in this central courtyard area for all these townhouses. Kind of hang out in the middle. But I don't know, we'll see. Maybe they'll write about it tomorrow in the Manteca Bulletin and get more clarification. And we'll see what they do. I should be coming back soon. Yeah, I'm not seeing. Let's do this. Take that off. All right. I'll wait for them to come back. And we're back.
Okay, Mayor, we're ready when you are. We just need a council vote to continue the meeting since we're past 10 o'clock.
Okay, we need a motion and second.
I make a motion to continue the meeting of September 1. And yeah,
Hopefully still in September 1.
September 1, exactly. Sorry.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Breitenbucher,
Yes.
Moorhead,
Yes.
Singh. I didn't hear you, Councilmember Singh.
Yes.
Okay. Vice Mayor Nuno?
Yes.
Mayor Cantu?
A happy yes. All right, E1.
E1, receive an update on the August 6th hearing associated with the State Route 120 Union Road interchange to reduce potential change orders and delay claims.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Leanne Sutton, Director of Engineering and City Engineer. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I'm here with my Deputy Director of Engineering, Kusun Kim. And we're here to give you an update on the State Route 120 Union Road Interchange Project and also bring forward 3 value engineering options for your direction and consideration. So that is a picture, an aerial photograph of what the Diverging Diamond interchange will look like at construction completion. Basically, this is going to change the traffic pattern over the bridge because the right and left lanes are going to crisscross on both ends of the bridge. And the purpose of crisscrossing the traffic at both ends of the bridge through the middle of the intersection is that so that as you're approaching on the right, you can make a right turn without any conflicts with other opposing traffic. And then when the traffic crisscrosses over to the left side, you can make a left turn onto the ramp, freeway ramp, without being T-boned or coming in conflict with other traffic. So there's 2 crisscrosses, one on either end of the bridge, so it's going to change the traffic pattern going across Union. It's a slightly new traffic pattern, and we believe with all of the infrastructure we're going to put in place, signage, medians, traffic signals, that we can do this safely upon opening the Diverging Diamond interchange. So to give you a little update, this contract, the construction contract, was awarded to Tykert Construction in March of 2019. Right at the beginning of the project, there was a 6-month delay while Caltrans was working with PGE to relocate utilities. And the engineering, or the project team, embarked on value engineering number 1 to close the westbound ramps, which mitigated 4 months of the 6-month delay. So we currently have a 2-month remaining delay plus potential change orders, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. So the current schedule is to complete the project by March of 2021. The original schedule was to complete by December of 2020, so we're about 2 months, 3 months behind. The contract allows for 2 weeks of closure, and that would be done intermittently, and that would require 3 different traffic patterns during construction, not including the one we're in now and the Diverging Diamond when we open up. So that is definitely a lot of transitions for the public to deal with. So we embarked on value engineering number 2, the project team did, and came up with 3 options for closure of the overcrossing, so the Union overcrossing the State Route 120, and the State Route 120 at Union ramps, all 4 ramps. So we're talking about closing all 4 ramps and the overcrossing in these options. So the first option is no closure, but it's actually 2 weeks intermittently, because that is what is allowed in the construction contract. And then the second option is 1 month of closure. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the public is watching, and I want sure they understand what intermittent closures means. Basically what that means is you're swapping from one side of the bridge to the other side 3 different times, as I understand, in order to allow construction to occur on the opposite side while traffic still flows through.
Yes,
Is that correct?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
But it's not exactly one side or the other, because the lanes are going to be curving with the medians and hardscape and everything that's going to be installed. So the traffic transitions going through there are going to be curvy turns.
Okay, so essentially the
Options were presented to the community in August 2020 by Zoom meeting. These options allow the city to reduce their risk and improve safety, minimizes the number of traffic circulation patterns during construction, at least the 1 month and 3 month closure do. And then it could avoid potential $100,000 or $200,000 change orders to deal with these traffic transitions and the temporary infrastructure that needs to be installed and then removed. And then it could potentially mitigate the 2 month remaining PG&E delay among the contractors and the contractor and the subcontractors. So all of these options, I just want to notate right now, would allow for 24/7 access by emergency responders, police, fire, ambulance. And we had a meeting last week with the contractor and fire and police to hammer out the details of how we would provide this access through the construction site. And so we have a couple still photos here of videos that can be accessed online. This one is showing what can happen when you open up this diverging diamond pattern without all the proper signage, traffic signals, medians, and everything installed. As you can see, there's a semi-truck and another semi-truck heading right toward each other on the same lane because they got confused and drove the wrong way. That when you have all the proper medians, signage, striping, and everything in place, that will not happen. And this is a photo of how our diverging diamond interchange will look at construction completion. So I want to go through the 3 options. I'm going to present the third option. We're calling it option 3 because that was how it was presented to the community in August 2020. So option 3 is the no closure option, where we allow 2 weeks of intermittent closures. We could be complete by March of 2021 with being open on Black Friday. 3 major traffic patterns, as I said, and including traffic control, potential night and weekend work, potential change orders of $200,000 due to traffic control and temporary work, potential PG&E delay cost, the 2 month that I mentioned. And then at the end, it would be a little less quality because of the demo and scraping and blemishes on the paving and such to remove the striping, et cetera, from the temporary work. And like I said, 24/7 emergency vehicle access. Of the 3 options, it's the riskiest option, we believe, because of the multiple traffic patterns and the longer duration of construction going all through the winter, December through March. So option 2, as presented to the community, was a 1 month closure with substantial completion by Thanksgiving 2020 possible. 1 major traffic pattern as part of the traffic control. Required night and weekend work, potential change orders of $100,000, potential PG&E delay cost, not all the 2 months, but part of that 2 months. Less quality because of demo of the 1 traffic transition. 24/7 emergency vehicle access, and then the detours would be through Atherton, Wawona, Airport, and Main Street. It's a riskier option than the next one I'm going to tell you about because it's a riskier option than the next one, which is a 3 month closure, but it is a little more safe than the no closure option because there's a little less traffic transitions and it's a shorter duration of construction. So option 1, 3 month closure and with substantial completion by Thanksgiving. And the thing I want to point out about this 3 month option is that at this point, to open by Thanksgiving, it's really more like a 2.5 month option with night and weekend work by the contractor, because we would need about a week or half a week to get all the notifications out, and they wouldn't actually be able to close until early next week. And then, but we talked with the contractor and they committed to opening up by Thanksgiving, so allowing Black Friday shopping to be unhindered. So no additional, one of the big pluses of this option is no additional temporary traffic patterns. So we close next week, and then we open back up on Thanksgiving as a diverging diamond interchange with all the infrastructure in place. And then we're out there at startup to make sure everybody's going the right way. We doubt that there will be any problems, but we would just be out there as oversight. So this also requires extensive night and weekend work. The other benefit is it could mitigate the potential change orders of $200,000 because of no temporary traffic control and no temporary work that needs to be installed and then removed. We have also been talking to the contractor, and we believe we could mitigate the PG&E delay of 2 months, which could be a high cost to the city. Better quality because everything's all fresh. There's no demo marks for removing any temporary infrastructure. 24/7 emergency vehicle access, and then the same detours through Atherton, Wawona, Airport, and Main Street. We believe this is the least risky option for the public and for the city. It eliminates multiple traffic patterns. It's a shorter duration of construction, and the public, there's less confusion. I think the first and second option are a little confusing with people going up to the area and trying to figure out, is it open or not open, and what traffic pattern am I going to be in today, especially when you're dealing with bad weather or bad visibility. So just in summary, staff is recommending this option, the 3-month closure. And this is the map, yes?
Which option was preferred by the public?
I'm getting to that in a minute, but I'll tell you now. The public preferred option 3, closing for 3 months, just be done with it, be done early, and save the city some money. Those were the comments that we saw online and that we received from the public meeting.
So they preferred option 1?
Yes.
Okay.
The 3-month closure.
All right.
Yeah, okay. And then, so this is there's 2 maps here. One of the maps is showing the eastbound approach, the 2 detour plans going to Atherton and Wawona. And the next one is the westbound approach. The traffic patterns going to Atherton and Wawona. And that's about it. I can sum up the 3 value engineering options on this slide if you want me to go through it again, just to directly compare the different facets.
That's fine.
No?
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Council, any questions? Jose?
Yes, I have a couple. Are there any public comments on or is it just for us informational?
There were no public comments received for this item.
Okay, so a couple things. When the project first came to us here, there was no other 2 other options at the time, or was there already some other options for value engineering?
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Kusan, go ahead.
Good evening, City Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council members. As we started the slide, this is a value engineering. So value engineering normally occur during the construction. So the main concern we had was the safety. The second one was the cost, because we have 6 months delay associated with the PG&E utility locations. So 6 months, we remove 4 months throughout the value engineering one. We are working together, but however, we keep seeing the value associated with the safety enhancement as well as we are approaching to the end of the construction. So we are seeing some additional cost associated with the change orders. That's why we developed this plan as a part of the value engineering, so which enhance the safety as well as reduce the cost.
So these new value engineering options have resulted from just continuing where we're at presently.
That's right.
And has there been any delay? I hear PG&E delays by them. How do they delay this project currently? Are they still delaying it somehow?
So it's not just PG&E. So it's a legal issue between the state and the PG&E. So eventually we resolve the issue throughout the lengthy process. It is why we started the construction sometime late summer rather than March or early April 2019. So we just delayed the construction.
Because of the PG&E with the issue with the state.
That's right.
That we resolved eventually.
That's right. So we were holding the contract almost 6 months.
Right.
Because of that legal issue.
So from the contractor standpoint, having these other value engineering options, it sounds like we'd be able to get them faster, not have to carry over the project through winter, which would be great for us, the city, but also sooner the contractor gets done with their work and can move on. Is there any other delays that you guys have talked about that staff or contractor has been seen as foreseeable? Because I know 200,000 is the potential change order mitigation, meaning that you're trying to mitigate it, but there's still possibly $100,000 change order coming, even with option of 3 months closing.
Yeah, as a team, the project team, we are seeing that the $200,000 is not the major portion of the cost at the end of the project. So please keep in mind that this is almost $30 million project for 1 year working time frame. So 365 working days, but we delayed 6 months. So even though the 2 months still left, that's going to be a very significant amount we gotta deal with at the end of the project. So $200,000 for reduction of the potential change order associated with lane changes, but still, I wanna say that the 2 months, the delay cost would be much higher than $200,000. That's why we developed the value engineering, because at the end of the project, we don't want to face the financial issue, which is very significant.
Yeah, and that's one point of one of the things I want to bring up is that I'm all for saving money and getting the project done, but safety for me is more important than just the $200,000 of savings, especially if we're going to have like you said, the striping or certain things aren't put in place. I would hope that we wouldn't open it without having all those things in place to avoid any of that, and that should have been from day one, right? The planning perspective of it.
That's right.
So my thing is the money is important to save, but the safety factor is bigger, especially having the access for public safety to be able to get across timely. I have a couple other questions, but I'm going to see if they get asked by any other council members, or if not, I'll bring it back. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Debbie, do you have any questions?
No, just some comments. I'm definitely for closing it down on both sides. Safety is so important, and I absolutely don't want to have someone get in an accident because they're trying to maneuver going through there. It's confusing enough when it's going to be completed, and it's going to take some time for people to get used to that. But for it to have a temporary way to go that really isn't marked the way it should be can cause accidents, and we already saw that. And so I just think that it's not worth somebody possibly losing their life over it. So definitely I want it closed on both sides.
I would like to add just one comment on the safety. We have shared this information with Caltrans very proactively. As you know, Caltrans basically doesn't like any closure because there would be some significant impact on their traffic. But however, City of Manteca has received very good support from the Caltrans because they are seeing the value on the closure because we can avoid maybe major injury accident or fatal accident.
Exactly.
Okay. Anything else, Debbie?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. David?
No, I like the idea of closing it for 3 months. We had an incident over in Union when they redid the overpass 20 years ago. A car got up into there, went off, and the person died. So closing it on both ends, making sure nobody gets up there is a high priority. Getting it done right the first time, not having to worry about, seeing what happened in that video where everybody went to one side going both directions. We don't want like that. So yeah, I agree. 3 months, close it down, get it done. Let's get it over with. Open it up. They go they go the right way the first time.
Yeah. All right, Gary.
Yeah, I agree with everyone else. Safety is the most important thing here. One question I did have is, you said it was going to mitigate the 200,000. Was there any extra saving on top of that for the closures too? I know originally that was a discussion point for the city.
We will, because of the shortened schedule, we will be looking at all the bid list items with a fine-tooth comb and making sure that any quantities that are not being installed or completed by the contractor, that we get credits for those items.
Okay, excellent. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is looking at the Detour Plan. I know we kind of talked about this, if you remember originally when we decided to start closing this down and revert traffic down Atherton. I don't know if this will be a factor or not, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. As we're running traffic down Atherton, when we get to Atherton and Airport, I know at one time we were talking about having temporary lights there as a backup may occur. So that may be something we may want to look at now if we're going to completely close and divert all traffic down Atherton. I know there is a four-way stop there now, but I know that was something we had discussed a while back when we originally first started this project.
We will look at that and we'll look at the ADTs and we'll be monitoring that, and we'll make any improvements to those detours that need to be done to keep the traffic flowing during construction, during the closure.
Because Airport already, unfortunately gets backed up right there significantly, and so we may be adding to that traffic volume.
Yeah.
On that, option one is a go for me.
All right.
Mayor, I'd like to just say a couple
of
things. So the safety factor in driving around before, to take a look what we have, I know we have the two other interchanges, the off ramps. That was encouraging also that there are other alternatives, but we also don't want to create the unsafety on those other places as well. So looking at Atherton, looking at Airport, traffic will be getting backed up. We want to make sure we also can mitigate that. And then also, if the monies are saved, are those monies already that were budgeted, allocated to this project, or was that going to be new monies that we're going to have to come back to council to be reallocated for change orders?
Right now, what we're talking about is not going past the current contract amount and not having to come back and request more funding or finding grant funding or PFIP funding to cover the gaps.
Great. Yeah, then I would just say pass on the encouragement to the contractor, hopefully stay within budget. And I know that the goal is to be done by by the holiday, Black Friday, with shopping. So hopefully we can meet that challenge. That's all, Mayor.
All right. I have a question. I'm not sure if it's possible or not. I don't know. I agree with Gary. We need to do something with that intersection at Atherton and Airport Way. Currently, it's a four-way stop, but does the city have a set of temporary signals that can be installed there, or can they be rented or borrowed or something? I agree with Gary. I mean, the traffic situation gets really backed up there certain times during the day, and with the detour, it's probably going to be much worse.
Maybe the contractor has something.
Yes, we'll look into it for sure. We'll check with operations and maintenance and with the contractor.
Okay. All right, we need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve with option 1.
I second that motion. Roll call.
Councilmember Breitenbucher?
Yes.
Moorhead? Councilmember Moorhead? Singh?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nuno?
Yes.
Mayor Cantu?
Yes.
Councilmember Moorhead?
Debbie?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yes. My screen was dark, so I couldn't see that I had muted it. Sorry. Yes.
All right. Okay. E2.
E2, receive an update on progress of plan elements to utilize Qualex 555 Industrial Park Drive as a homeless navigation center.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Glad to be with you here tonight to update you on this important project. Just as a quick, we're working on getting that PowerPoint up. But just as a quick introduction, we were before you in July with this item initially, and so what we're here for tonight is we told you to come back in September to give you an update on where we were on the plan elements that we provided to you in March. So March we were before you to give you the plan elements. We came to update you in July, and this is a further update on what we've been doing. So the update tonight is going to be on these 6 elements. So we're going to look at the environmental that we had talked about, so that indoor air quality, Oversight Board, the appraisal for the building, construction estimates, strategic plan, and the interim solution. So that's the solution that will take us through the actual opening of a permanent navigation center. So it's warm and cooling center in the interim time period. So environmental. Last time we were here, we had signed a contract with a consultant to do an indoor air quality assessment. So we've gotten that back, and if you've walked through the building recently, the assessment will not be as a surprise to you. As far as the mold goes, just due to leaks in the roof and just the building sitting vacant, they found mold in pretty much the entire building. And so the recommendation just for the mold part of that was to basically take down all drywall, take down the installation, remove flooring, and clean any remaining studs once we removed all that material. For the asbestos, they did find asbestos in a few spots. It was pretty minimal, but in the women's and men's, asbestos was in the vinyl tile and mastic, which we knew was a concern, and then also the roofing material, which again, we had known from a previous assessment that those were an issue. They did find lead paint in both the women's and men's bathroom in the ceramic tile, and then there was also some lead paint in the storage bay, just on a pipe. So again, that was minimal, and so what the next step is in that would be to get a cost for the mitigation estimates. Those estimates will come in as we do those construction estimates. So we'll get to that. But that construction estimate will look at what it will take to, first of all, demo the walls and those kind of things, mitigate, and then look at the new design. So we'll kind of go through that schedule a little bit when we get to that section. And then the next steps along with that construction estimate is that we would come back to council to present those findings and those costs. Oversight Board. So when we were here last time, we had talked about going to the Oversight Board to talk to them through our thoughts of purchasing the building for an appraisal price. Don Smale spoke with the executive secretary that sets up that board, and what we were told was basically the board is not empowered by law to give us opinions on real estate transactions, and so they can only approve or deny real estate transactions that we bring forward. So what they recommended is when we get an updated appraisal to come to them at that point with what we would like to do with it, and then they'd make a motion at that point, but they couldn't really give us opinions of what to do. And so the next step would be to schedule that Oversight Board meeting. Now you're going to see a January timeframe in there, and that's a ways off. What we were thinking with this was that we'd want to be further along in the budget, in the cost estimating, so that you have a whole picture, so that we didn't go to the Oversight Board with this item and then have to reel that back if we get cost estimates that were too high that we didn't want to move forward with. So we wanted to be further along in the cost estimates so that we could bring you a full picture, and then once you had that picture, you would be able to tell us yay, nay, go forward with the Oversight Board in requesting this, or let's pull back and kind of take a look at what we're doing. So that's why that January date is there. That January date is a normally scheduled meeting. They always have that meeting to go through just their everyday yearly items that they have to go through, like the ROPS. So it's a standing meeting. We would plan to hit that meeting. I just mentioned the appraisal. So as you know, in 2019, July, we had an appraisal done for 1.125 on the building. We just received an updated appraisal, just today at 1.1 million. So you see that's gone down. There are comps in the area that are higher, but due to the unknown and what it's going to take to mitigate some of those environmental issues indoor, that was adjusted to make up for that. And so it is a little lower. And so again, in process, there's nothing in process right now. We would wait to come back to council to decide everything together once we have those cost estimates. So we would bring this back with that, of course, to remind you of this appraisal and how you wanted to move forward. So the construction estimate. So you can see we've completed the indoor air quality. So that next step will be a proposal for the repair estimates and design of the building. Our consultant did provide a proposal for this work previously, but with the results of the indoor air quality assessment, we've asked them to do a little bit different job. What we've asked them to do is go in and basically any TI within the building, any walls, to just kind of get rid of everything at this point, since it is so much mold is in there. And initially that wasn't the plan. The plan was initially to kind of keep what we had there. But this way, if we do it this way, we're able to get rid of everything at once, not worry about cleaning it and doing all that. We get rid of it, we start with a fresh slate, and we can build the building for the program rather than trying to fit the program into the building. So it is a better way to do it, because we can decide what we want and build to our desire rather than trying to fit with what's in there. So I'd mentioned the next steps would, as we get to the repair estimates and we get to the design of the building, we would come back before council. And actually, I probably should have put this in. We probably would come back to council ahead of time to kind of go through some of those design elements that we were thinking about putting in the building, just to get your consideration of those things. So I did not put that in there, but we would come back before those were done, just to get your ideas and make sure you were on board with what we were going forward with. And the strategic plan. So I'd mentioned in my last update was the HCD has a technical assistance program that will provide over 13,000 hours to help out with anything to improve the delivery of homelessness services, including strategic plans. So we've been in contact with them. It's good to go. However, the staff that is doing that is currently working on other plans, and so they weren't available till October 2020, which now we're in September. We decided that that will work since it will be free to us. So that will begin in October. And then the interim solution. Again, I had mentioned this is just that a warming cooling center between now and when we can get this navigation center up and running. We had an RFP that was open. We did extend that deadline to August 27th, and in that extension we did receive one proposal, which we're very excited about. And so we're in the process of reviewing that proposal and speaking with that proposer to make sure that they're on board with what the city's goals are for this interim solution, this warming cooling center. And we plan to come back to council pretty quickly with the results and to hopefully award contract if we can come to good terms with that proposer. So finally, the timeline. So this was presented last time. I will just highlight those items that have changed from when we previously provided this to you. So of course I mentioned the strategic plan was supposed to begin in September. That's moved to October based on their availability. The Oversight Board, we put that in as the January meeting, so that's moved down on the timeline a bit. And then finally, this is a new item that wasn't there before, and this is the Transitional and Interim Housing Plan. We have an internal committee that discusses homelessness strategies and goes through this stuff, and that committee had an opportunity to attend, to go to the Turlock shelter and do a tour. And one of the things, and we talked a lot and had a great conversation about what's working for them, what's not working for them. We had a city person from Turlock was there that gave some great insight. And one of the things that she had mentioned was the importance of what's after a shelter. Where do they go next? And are we prepared for where they go next? And so that's what the transitional and interim housing plan is basically looking at, okay, what can we do to have a spot for these people to go once they've kind of graduated the shelter and they've gone through the program that they need to go through? Where do they go next, and to provide those opportunities for them? So that's that new element that wasn't there last time. And so with that, that's my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, good report, Joanna.
Thank you.
Jose, any questions, comments?
Yeah. So it's good to see that we're getting some results from the studies that are being done, but at the same time, it's not sounding very pretty what we're hearing. It shouldn't be a surprise that we know it's going to be bad, but it's sounding even worse. And then the price, it hasn't changed significantly, which is probably the commercial side of it is just holding tight. I want to hear a little bit about the interim in between, because I know that the Qualix, at least for my part, I'm not looking at it to be a shelter. I'm looking for it to be more of a resource center. Can you talk to me a little bit about the interim plan that you mentioned earlier?
Sure. So the interim plan is kind of what we saw last winter, where the tent was put up in the Qualix parking lot and it offered a location for our homeless residents to stay warm and also get services. They had showers there. The health department came, not the health department, but we had county agencies come out that can provide those services. So, I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about, providing those services so they have a place to go and get them. And it's good to have also because it makes it easier to provide those services for county agencies because it's one place to come and where they're going to congregate.
Right. So is the location for that transition the Qualix identified right now?
The location?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would look at doing it in the Qualix parking lot again.
If we wanted to try to do it someplace else, is that an option?
That would be council's direction.
Okay. That's it for right now. I'll probably elaborate a little bit more in a little bit. Thank you, Mayor.
Debbie, any comments? Debbie?
Yes. When you talk about putting up a tent, are you talking about inner city action doing that?
So that's what the RFP, we released an RFP to get proposals to operate that tent. And so we received one proposal, and it was not inner city action.
Okay, and did the city purchase a tent?
No. So that's why we need to talk with the proposer to kind of work out some of those details.
Okay. No other questions.
All right. David?
Yeah, Joanna, what would be an approximate amount for the rebuild of the building? Do we have that?
So we don't, and that's what the estimates are going to give us. I've seen various numbers. I've talked to a few shelter CEOs that are going through rehab, and some of them are going $500 a square foot, whereas at Stan County, I think they did their rehab, which was very much like ours, which was an industrial building, 18,000 square feet, so a little bit smaller, and theirs was 161 a square foot. So it really depends.
Your mic's breaking up.
Oh, sorry. So the Stan County model, basically, they did theirs in an industrial building, much like we are, and they $161 per square foot. And ours is larger, so it will be a little bit more money, but you have economies of scale. It could also be a little bit cheaper for some things because it is a little bit larger.
Okay. All right, and the other thing is, it's sad that we only had one reply to RFP after you had to extend it out, and that inner city who operates in this area didn't apply. I'm really disappointed that they felt that they couldn't be here for whatever reason. I would really like to see them back in because they were doing a great job for us.
Yeah.
They did provide all those services to help those people, and they were getting people off the street, getting them jobs, and getting them into that transition to go somewhere else. So I prefer to see them. They've already done the work for us. I prefer to see them there. So we'll see how that works out. But that's all I have now.
Thank you. Gary?
Okay, Johanna, how many square feet is this building?
The Qualix is about 40,000.
Okay, so that, if we're say $200 a square foot, that puts us at $8 million.
No. Come on, don't paint a negative picture. You're not building a building. I would agree with you if you were constructing a brand new building.
What Johanna said was that price for rehab wasn't for new construction, right?
Well, and that Stan County price I'm giving you, that also included equipment, cots, that's kind of all-inclusive construction and equipment and everything they needed. So it's a little bit expanded for those things.
Okay, just make sure we identify what that 200 represents.
All in everything for an existing building, correct, Johanna?
Mayor and Council, I would advise you maybe not to get so caught up in the numbers right now because, as I had mentioned, there is a lot of grant funding out there available for homeless solutions right now. So I wouldn't get too caught up in the numbers at this point until we figure out what the numbers are and then see what's out there in terms of free money for us.
Well,
this is really just a report from staff. We really shouldn't be getting into the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, and I'll add to that really quickly, Councilman. Singh. I'm just really quickly, and to add to what Miranda's saying is, and this is why we're doing those cost estimates. So we're not guessing. I've talked to people. They've told I have this huge range, and so I give you those ranges just as because I'm asked, but. That's why we need to do these cost estimates, so we know exactly what we're getting into before we jump in.
Well, and when we've spoken to the county about getting money from them, they don't want to hear our estimate on or what we think it might cost. They want to see like hard numbers before they even consider giving us any money. So we're really we're going the right route.
Okay, so all right. So looking at the schedule, I mean, December 2021 would be amazing if it happens, but I do know, as it's been mentioned several times tonight with government, that it normally does not go according to plan and time. So I'm very interested in the interim solution because we have homeless today, and that's very important to me also. So when the RFP went out for that, is that more of just a warming or a cooling center, or are they going to be able to provide all those other services that Inner City Action was doing?
It's a warming cooling center, but the way the RFP was written was to provide those services, provide food, provide showers, provide bath, that was all in there.
Okay, and where we are funding all of that, or how is that going to go?
Well, that's what we're going to come back to you with, is once we look at that, really look into that proposal and we meet with that proposal, we're going to come back to you and say this is what it's going to take to do that, and we would have to appropriate funding for it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I have an issue right now is that we need to fix some of these situations right now because the homeless are already there. And they need services. And even for Mike Kelly and our officers that are out there, they need resources to provide those individuals other than just, shuffling them around the city. So that's very important to get that going ASAP. So I kind of agree with Councilmember Breitenbooker and even Vice Mayor Nuno on looking at where that could be potentially done and how soon that could be done. It's interesting to me that we only got one proposal again, and you said it was an inner city action. So then I guess I want to know, maybe why did that happen or not happen? And why is there only one person that's willing to do this? Are we asking for too much, or?
Well, and I will tell you, I spoke to other shelters in the area and around, and, in Stockton, they are actually doing a lot of, they're increasing their size in a lot of their shelters. So they just don't have the time or manpower to come to Manteca and start something new. Lodi, same thing. They don't have the time to do it right now. And COVID doesn't help. I mean, they're having to deal with not just sheltering people, but making sure that they don't have the pandemic break out in their location either. So it's a hard time right now for shelters because they luckily are expanding, but that's that's too bad for us.
Yeah, so, and then I'm, again, very supportive of a resource center. I think that's going to be really helpful while this whole navigation Qualix potentially is working around in the background. We need to do something, again, I would say now, is that we do have a resource center in this town today, but it's only open for 2 hours and 2 days a week. And so that's an issue. That's why we can't get the help to those individuals that truly need it. So we need to figure out how to expand those hours, and hopefully this RFP that was out was going to bring that to our city. I'll stop there for now.
Okay, Jose, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I want to jump in there a little more. With the county being having the plan or us applying, which funding is it that we're trying to go after from the city to get some assistance there?
So there's currently a NOFA open for the HAP funding. And so I want to say for the county and the COC, I think there's between 3 and 4 million available through that funding source for now. And so, and things, I mean, there's always funding coming up. And so we're always looking for that, but that's the local funding that's there now.
Okay, one suggestion I would say is, because part of it was right now looking at the numbers too, which I know I don't want to get too into it, but the fact is it's going to cost money. And for the HAP application, can the city apply it with 2 scenarios?
I would be hesitant to do that only because I know it's going to be so competitive. I think we need to go in with our number one scenario that we want to move forward with.
Okay. And the second thought, the second scenario I was thinking of, I was doing the transitional kind of, the warming center transition plan, just to see if we can get funding for that. So if the ask was for the Qualix a certain dollar amount, well, what's the other number that we could do? I know the application is probably going to be, very highly competitive, as you said, but just looking at the options, because either way, we have the need now. I know we're trying to move it fast as possible, and you, along with other staff, have been working hard to get us there. We're much closer to make a decision, but ultimately, it's going to be, the money, what we're going to invest, because buying a building for $1 million, and right now it sounds like it's just going to be a bunch of mold we're going to buy. That's bad to hear that. But that's what we wanted to know, the facts. And then the next thing is, if we have to renovate it, what's the real number going to be? So I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of that study to then make a real decision based off those facts. But it's good that we're looking for money. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. My only comment is it's moving too slow. So, all right, we need well, this was just a report. You don't need a motion or anything, right?
Correct.
Mayor, I have several public comments for this item this evening.
Okay.
First one is from Scott Singer. I am the owner of 578 Industrial Drive, Manteca, and I object to the city's proposal to development of a homeless shelter on our street. I've invested a lot of time, energy, and money into complying with the city's zoning use criteria and don't see or understand how a homeless shelter is compatible with surrounding uses, businesses, and zoning. This will impact the value of my property and my ability to obtain a tenant and attract jobs and tax dollars to Manteca. This is not a compatible use with an industrial park and should be located somewhere else. There aren't even sidewalks here. This should be an unsafe area to house anyone, especially with trucks going by in an industrial area. And that was Scott Singer. The next one is from Mark Brading. Dear City Council, we built our industrial building in the Manteca Industrial Park in the early 80s due to the proximity to the Bay Area, the ease of access to main freeways, and because we wanted to be surrounded by other light manufacturing businesses. We also purchased an acre lot next to our industrial building for potential expansion or future development. Our lessee, Ecologic Brands, has informed me that as a result of the large tents that have been set up at 555 Industrial Park Drive for various homeless events, they have had to deal with burglary, mail theft, damage to perimeter fencing, people sleeping and living on the property, theft, panhandlers entering their building, and human excrement and urine around the building. I just received a violation notice that a homeless camp is on our adjoining lot. Now I have to remove the homeless camp, clean up the homeless camp, and repair the damage caused by the homeless camp. Please don't place these additional burdens on business owners and property owners. The Manteca Industrial Park is just that, an industrial park, not a homeless center. The city should be looking at ways to attract more business and industry to Manteca, not drive them out by placing a homeless center right in the middle. This is not the place for this type of use and will drive away business, devalue properties, and will prevent new businesses from investing and establishing in the Manteca Industrial Park. The next one is from Alexander Shefflow. We have a 5-acre parcel in the industrial park located off 555 Industrial Drive in the city of Manteca. The parcel includes 3 buildings with a total area of over 39,000 square feet. There have been numerous break-ins, including removal and cutting of padlocks, breaking of windows and doors. They have cut a large hole through the fence between the Qualix building and 1096 Mellon so they can move at will. City of Manteca built this development in the late 70s, stating that this was to be an upscale industrial park with good access to the Crosstown Highway and the International Airport. And now, why would you convert it into a dump? We have already lost one tenant because of the homeless traffic through the parking lots. The tenants have concerns for their own client safety. This is not a location for the homeless center. The city has the responsibility to protect the businesses that locate in the area and make it desirable for those that move here, there, pay taxes, and support the city of Manteca. The city staff should find a more desirable location and make it fitting for the homeless. Has the city staff considered the following for the existing tenants at the park and general public: security, vandalism, drug use, sanitation, health support, and the costs to the owners and tenants to protect their property and equipment and loss of income? All these items must be addressed before the project is approved. The next one is from David Theobald. My name is David Theobald. I'm general contractor, commercial painting contractor, and I own several buildings in Manteca that house about 20 tenants. I purchased 544 Industrial Park Drive in 2012 out of foreclosure. The building was run down, housed an illegal drug operation, and had become an eyesore to the community. I believed with our expertise and substantial investment, we could restore the building and find a good tenant so it could once again become a productive part of the industrial park and the city of Manteca. We produced plans, pulled the required permits, and completed all the construction work. The project has been successful, and we have found solid tenants which produce great jobs and support the local economy. I share concerns around solving the needs of the homeless population. However, I am not in favor of having a shelter across the street from this project. Even after rescuing this property, we continue to be challenged by local vagrants cutting fences both at 544 and other nearby project, attempting to steal our tenants' property and seeking to set up ad hoc camps. Is the city prepared to police industrial park against these negative, dangerous activities? I strongly urge you to place the homeless shelter somewhere besides the industrial park. The needs of a shelter are not compatible with the commercial, economic, and social activities of an industrial park and will negatively impact the local community of tenants and business owners. The next one is from Greg Rodriguez. As the COO of Ecologic Brands Incorporated, I'm writing to oppose a proposed homeless shelter in the city-owned property located at 555 Industrial Park Drive, Manteca. We are tenants in the building located at 550 Carnegie Street, property directly behind the subject property. Ever since the large tent was erected and loud music was played in the parking lot of 555 Industrial Park Drive, we have had our building broken into and property stolen. Our fence has been cut and damaged, found people sleeping on our property, panhandlers entering our building, mail stolen, and found trash, human excrement, and urine around the building. I don't believe this is an appropriate spot to locate a homeless shelter. Property is zoned M1, light industrial, for a reason. To have individuals living at the property would violate the zoning ordinance established by the city of Manteca. Ecologic moved into this business with the expectation that our neighbors would be other light industrial businesses, not individuals. Ecologic has developed patented technology that takes recycled cardboard and converts it into paper bottles, containers, and jars. We believe that our green business could change the world. It's hard enough to run our business without having neighbors that create additional challenges for us. I hope the City Council will vote against establishing the proposed homeless shelter in our industrial park. The next one is from Carlos Martinez. Manteca City Council. It has recently come to my attention through business contacts that the City of Manteca is considering the creation of a homeless shelter on Industrial Park Drive. For over 20 years, my company has provided considerable employment opportunities for the city. I would certainly think the Manteca City Council would have thought it prudent to inform adjacent businesses of this potential shelter site. I am disappointed no such communication has been received from the city. This overt lack of communication is completely unacceptable. A decision such as this comes with considerable safety concerns for my employees, my property, and my inventory assets. We currently have homeless citizens vandalizing our windows, doors, gates, and landscaping along with nightly attempts to enter our facility. A shelter would obviously increase the risk to the entire neighborhood. What kind of security will the city absorb should the shelter come to fruition? How will my company be compensated should further damages be incurred? To conclude, I am firmly opposed to a homeless shelter on Industrial Park Drive. I'm also quite concerned the city of Manteca would not be forthcoming in such an effort. And the last one is from David Knox. The proposed homeless shelter across the street from our facility represents a serious concern for the safety of our employees, our customers, and our business. In the past year, squatters have started 2 significant fires in the neighborhood. The first was right next door at 400 Industrial Park Drive, and fortunately our staff saw it and called the fire department. The next was a larger fire at 555 Industrial Park Drive, the very site for the proposed shelter. Let's see. Oh, he sent several photos today, which were forwarded to you. Let's see. While we are understanding of their plight, having homeless people who are obviously under the influence or suffering from mental problems lounging on our front lawn, yelling at our employees and customers, and wandering in our parking lot is not a safe situation. This is what happens when the temporary tent shelter opens each winter at 555 Industrial. Our swing and graveyard shift employees have repeated voiced concern for their own safety, and now we have to keep our gates closed during the later evenings through the night. We should not have to police the homeless, but in reality we do. If the shelter is approved, it's going to get worse. Please consider the hardworking people of this neighborhood. That's the last comment, Mayor.
So, Mayor and Council, if I can provide a comment. Most of these business owners have reached out to me over the past couple of weeks, and what I relate to them is, first of all, we're still in the planning stages of even deciding if Qualex is going to be the site, because we don't know what the costs are, and we really need to take a look at that. But that aside, we recognize that it's really going to have to be a comprehensive effort if we either put a temporary solution there or when the permanent solution goes in, that we are really going to have to engage in the surrounding, with the surrounding business owners to really understand the issues and come up with a plan for how we're going to mitigate those issues. So I certainly communicated with them and let them know that if and when we get to a point where Council has directed us to move forward with the Qualex site, that we will absolutely have extensive outreach to the surrounding business owners and community in order to get their input and come up with a collaborative plan for how we're going to deal with those homeless issues. So I just wanted to add that.
Okay. All right. I'll reserve my comments for the end. David, do you have anything to say?
No, I already said it.
All right. Debbie?
Relo, I think, already commented.
I just want to make sure.
I haven't commented.
Go ahead.
Okay. I understand what these business owners are going through because there's homeless all around there, whether or not the tent is there or not. I've driven by the Qualex building and outside. All of us have seen a person there with a bunch of garbage for weeks and weeks, and I see homeless all the time around there. So I can understand what's going on there. Also, those buildings have been broken into. I do know those buildings have been broken into before we ever even came up with an idea of making that a navigation center. And I'm talking about the empty buildings, and I know that the homeless had broken into those. So I understand that there definitely is a problem there. However, the more the cost goes up for this building, the more I feel like it's not the right place. And it's a sad thing for me. So that's all I have to say.
Gary, do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, continuation of that, I understand the concerns of those neighbors there, but those concerns are throughout the city, and in every center and in every area.
Wanted to get a really up-to-date feeling of what the environment looks like, and I did see a lot of activity, which is typical we see around the city. I mean, there was a lot of individuals homeless, a lot of truckers parking. I mean, there's a lot of things happening there. But I also saw a lot of buildings. So most of them used, some of them real empty. So it's a combination we have there, even for the whole industrial park for Manteca, how to improve that as well. And for that, it's been a bigger lift. So, but it sounds like we have business owners who are willing to be part of the revitalization of that area as well, which is encouraging. That's all, Mayor.
All right. I'll ask the proverbial question. Where is the best location? Not next to my house.
Nowhere.
Nowhere, exactly. I mean, you can't put it downtown. You can't put it in a residential area. You can't put it out in the country because the homeless don't want to go out in the country. I mean, it's got to go somewhere. And yeah, there's going to be issues and there's going to be problems, and we can work through all that. But, we get all these complaints, we get all these comments, but nobody wants to offer an answer, I think what we've done, the council and staff, is come up with a reasonable solution. It's not the 100% solution, but I don't think anybody in the country is actually developed a 100% solution. So we need to do the best we can, find the location that we can work with, but yes, there are going to be problems. And I'm going to talk to Miranda tomorrow about this particular issue. And something just came to mind as we were listening to these comments. So this is only a report. So thank you. All right, item E3.
E3, discuss and consider adoption of a council policy to clarify the procedure in which council members and members of the public place items on future agendas. Mayor and Council, John Tresitter, your city clerk, and I was tasked with drafting a policy to clarify the procedure. Council has its practice now, and when they're onboarded, it's in the onboarding documents that they have, and Council does follow along with that, but we don't have anything in place that specifically states for members of the public how they can get items added onto an agenda. So that was also part of this policy here. As you know, every year the council meets before budget time, comes up with its priorities, and once the budget is passed, tasks the city manager and the city staff with completing those projects and moving the city forward with its day-to-day business as well. And occasionally throughout the year, new items will come up. Council members will have items. Members of the public may have items that they are interested in having the council consider. So this policy essentially just creates the procedure in which this can take place. The council can, as they do now in the council comments, request an item be added. This item will be placed on a future agenda for a full council discussion before any staff work occurs, so that the full council is on board with directing staff to add more work or replacing maybe an item in the hierarchy of how things are getting done. And this also will provide the members of the public a way to address the council, to request that they sponsor an item for them to be placed on a future agenda. And same procedure would follow there, that we could agendize this for the council, they could have a full discussion, and then direct staff whether they want them to work on the item. So here for any questions or any clarification, but there's, and I found out now that there is actually 6 other council policies. I misspoke last time we adopted a policy, but they are now available on the website, on the City Council webpage for the public to go to see the policies and procedures that the council has put in place for itself. And if this is adopted, this will be added to that list as well.
Okay, thank you. Jose, any comment?
Well, I think the practice we've had now, I think it's been cordial, and we actually have voted on stuff, whether we want to put it on there or not. Is that still going to continue, or does it need to be voted on or not? I remember reading something about that.
So the votes would be if you wanted to get it onto the very next meeting. This is, as it is now, a request can come in from a council member, and we expect that we would put it on an agenda within the next 30 days. If you want it on the very next agenda, it would require a vote of the full council to bring it back to the very next meeting.
If not, then it would be within 30 days. In 30 days, it would come back.
Right, it would come back, and that would be for initial council discussion, so they can have a full discussion on the item and decide whether to have staff put work into the project.
Okay, and then right now, from the public, when they want like something pulled, how is the communication being done? I've heard it when it's been mentioned on the dais, but how are you receiving those inquiries?
Well, right now there hasn't been really inquiries that I've seen for items to be added to an agenda, but this just clarifies the way that which the public can do that. It would be either in an open meeting where they're able to come here, they could speak to the council, and then a council member would then suggest that that item be added to a future agenda for a full council discussion, if warranted. In this time, the public could submit an email request for an item, and then we would have to provide it to the council and let them decide whether they would like to add it to a future agenda for a full discussion.
So I just wanted to clarify, there have been times when individuals have come in to speak to me particularly, requesting that something be on the agenda, but since we don't have a process for the public, well, before we didn't have a process to put agenda items that the public requests, I always tell them to come to a council meeting to speak during public comment, and then council can consider whether they would like to put it on the agenda or not. So this just really makes it a more transparent process for the public. We're going to have it on our website, and we'll all be really secure knowing what the process is, and I'll feel confident when I'm talking with the public and explaining to them how to put something on the agenda.
And at that point, you said that it will go to council, and it's up to us to decide whether to put it on there or not. It's not automatic.
That's the process right now. I would like to be able to let them know a process, but since we didn't have one, we've just been referring them to come to a meeting to speak to you in hopes that you might put it on the agenda.
Okay, and then just as a add-on, how about taking things off, like, consent calendar, for example? Is that a whole different thing? Or is that part of this somehow?
So if we receive any public comment on a consent calendar item, we would provide that in advance of the consent calendar vote so that it could be pulled for separate consideration, so we could read that person's comment on the item, and then the council would know where that member of the public stood on that item.
And I know usually it's only 1 or 2 items as opposed to the whole docket that gets pulled, so it really hasn't been, we've been respectful of that process as well. So, okay, thank you that's all for now, Mayor.
Okay, Debbie, any comments?
Yeah. So since I've been on the council for 12 years, when I came on board, this is what I was told. I was told if I wanted something on the agenda, that during council comments, I would say what I would like to have on the agenda. If there was a consensus right then and there of the council members, then it would go on the next council meeting. And it was always during council comments that we would say, oh, by the way, can we get such and such on the agenda? And then the city clerk would usually say, is everybody, in agreement with that? And if they shook their head yes, and there was a consensus, then it went on. I was also told that a community member could go to any council member and ask if they could put something on the agenda of an issue that they wanted. So it would be done the exact same way. During council comments, I would say a resident came to me and asked if this could be placed on the agenda. And if there was a consensus, then it was placed on the agenda. So I realize that's how it's been done. That's how I have always done it, and for 12 years. So I assume when I was told that's the way you do it, whether or not it was an actual policy or procedure, I don't know that. I was just told that's how you do that.
Councilmember Moorhead, you're absolutely right. That has been our procedure, and we're the procedure that we're recommending is pretty much the same. We're just putting it in a policy format. So we would still do the same.
Do we have to? You would say what we want, yes, and wait for the next meeting for us to vote on it? Or can we still say it and get a consensus?
Correct. So you say, for instance, I had a resident approach me about the rail line traffic noise. Let's talk about the rail. Okay. If you had council consensus, we would add it to an agenda after 30 days. It wouldn't be on the next immediate agenda. But if you said, no, this item's really urgent, I really would like us to discuss it at the next meeting, that's when you would do a vote right then and there to have the city manager prioritize it on the next agenda. When that next agenda comes, it's literally going to be the forum where all of you can actually have an open, transparent conversation about it. The public can attend and speak with you. And that's where you would give formal direction to the city manager if you want staff to invest time, energy, money, whatever the resources are, to look forward, to look more into the item and come back with, a consultant or a roadmap or, budgeting issues, whatever the case may be. So we want council to be able to have an open dialogue about what it is. If the council member's raising the item to be discussed, in other cities, I guess you can say, as we're starting to grow into a larger city, it's very common in cities that are larger, that council members sponsor certain items. You may hear that when you go to your league conferences. And so council members can even provide the city clerk or the city manager with a brief memo that they would like included in the staff report, that because you're kind of the advocate for that item, or you're the one that's concerned about something and you'd like to look into it. So it's just opening up a little more transparency. And when the public does come to us and ask us how to put an item on the agenda, of course we say it in the exact way you just described. However, it's awkward when we can't say, here's where it's written. Here, we can't point to it, and it's kind of like this feel-good thing. Oh, you can email the council member. Oh, you can come to public comment. And then they say, well, I don't know the council member, or I'm scared to talk in public. If we could just give them a piece of paper that tells what the process is, it's just easier for us and them to understand. So, any other questions?
Okay.
I just have one note too, that there is exceptions to this. If staff is currently working on a project, something is going on and the council is asking for an update or a brief report back on that, that's not the same thing. That's not a new item, so that would be something that the city manager would prioritize putting on a future meeting when the time is available to update on a project that is already in progress.
Correct. And I also, thank you, John, I want to add one more thing. You know, sometimes things are no-brainers, right? You'll have somebody come to public comment and bring up an issue and, you know, all five of you and the city manager think, oh my gosh, that's a great idea, or why are we not doing that yet? Or I'm going to add this because it's, you know, life safety issue or something's going on. The city manager could say, we're going to take care of that right away. So not every issue needs to come back at a formal, you know, for a formal decision. Sometimes you all are on the same page with something just needs to be taken care of, and thank them for bringing it to our attention. So the city manager can just implement things if it makes sense.
True. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Okay, David?
No, I'm good with this. It's basically following the same procedures that we've been doing. It's just adding the public section in there. So yeah, this is fine.
Gary?
Yeah, I'm glad to see this in a more formalized way, and everybody has clear, concise direction. So let's move forward.
All right, we need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
2 seconds. Roll call.
Councilmember Breitenbucker?
Yes.
Moorhead?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nuno?
Yes.
Mayor Cantu?
Yes. All right, city manager comments.
I have a couple of quick items. First, I wanted to welcome our new Director of Development Services, Chris Arias, but you had a chance to virtually meet him tonight, so that's great. Very happy to have the support of the new directors that we have brought on board. They really are some really great, experienced additions to our team, so that's super exciting. I also just wanted to take the time to thank our firefighters who have been out on wildfires and are currently out on wildfires. You know, it's really great that they are taking the time and effort and really their bravery to go out and help other communities who are in need. So I wanted to make sure to thank them for their work. A couple of other items, just so that you are aware, we are working with Caltrans to clean up the homeless encampments and the garbage on Caltrans property. So we are working closely with them, and you should see some movement there soon. And also we're working on having our public works staff clean up the entrances to the city. So Moffett and Austin and Maine up by the Kia dealership. So you should notice a difference there as well, because we're working on that currently. And then just so council knows, all of the directors are actually going to be doing a walk downtown tomorrow morning to take a look at some of the issues that are down there, some kind of low-hanging fruit that we can fix or clean or whatever that looks like, and to engage with our businesses downtown so that they get to know the director, so that they'll feel comfortable reaching out to them if they have any issues. So we'll be doing that tomorrow morning. And that's it for me.
We have fruit trees downtown.
With low-hanging fruit.
All right, Jose, any comments?
Yeah, I want to say that I'm glad that we were able to talk about different things along affordable housing in our community, and that we had a good discussion. And hopefully we get to see some good fruits of our same theme of fruits, right? Fruits of our labor, because definitely there are conversations that are hard to have, but they're needed for our community to continue going forward. As well, I wanted to thank our fire department firefighters who are out there. This last 2 weeks has been pretty intense. Ring of Fire, I know we've talked about that all around us, and a lot of folks have been asking, when's it going to stop? And unfortunately, it's part of Mother Nature, and we're experiencing it. And there's a lot of good things our police department has been involved with. I know certain calls and chief has been updating us on certain things. So just want to say thank you. That's all, Mayor.
All right. Gary.
Yes, we had a COG meeting this past week, so I wanted to update you on a couple of things that concern our area. One was, yes, the Caltrans update that I wanted to give. They are starting to clean up areas. They've done some cleanup in Tracy, Stockton, around the freeways. So I'm glad to see our staff moving forward with trying to get them on board to clean up some of our areas. There is a new director for our district, so I got to meet him and forward some information. Some other things, if you remember, Mayor, we had a meeting with Caltrans and COG staff regarding 99-120. They were back in February, which seems like so long ago. And one of the recommendations we had was also to install route shields. Those are those beautiful blue, vibrant shields on the floor, on the road itself. So they were actually able to secure funding for that and purchase them and get them going. So those should be actually going up in about a month and a half or so. So on our 120 as we're headed towards Modesto, north-south. So that's happening. The other thing that we also got an update on was the 99-120 actual interchange project. The project team from Caltrans is actually moving forward. They're actually in the part of getting right-of-way appraisal work, which has started, and they actually were out there staking on the 26th and surveying the properties and starting to engage the affected property owners. And they're going to start a coordinated effort also with Union Pacific regarding the Austin Bridge that's going to be built. And they're actually 65% on the constructability and safety review, which is targeted for September 2nd, which is we're almost there if we continue on this meeting. And as far as funding, it's the first phase is funded. I know there was some conversations about that already. That is still moving forward, and they're hoping to start kicking off things July of next year, and then start seeing this project come to fruition. So that's some good news. There's actually some real movement. And if everybody remembers 99-120, our major issue and that we've been working on for a decade. And this will give us those 2 lanes headed towards Modesto and a new Austin Road Bridge. And on that, very good meeting tonight. And I think we covered a lot of important issues for the future of Manteca. And I think we had really good discussion tonight. And yes, I would like to talk about what everybody else was saying is that it's been crazy seeing all that smoke in our area and out there. And, there's days that I can't even tell if it's day or night. Some of that is getting away soon. And, those firefighters are on the front lines. God bless them that they are. So we're very fortunate. Thank you and good night, everyone.
All right. Debbie, any closing comments?
First of all, I want to say to John Brinton that this is, September and you have one more meeting with us. They're going to be missed, and thank you for your service. Also, absolutely the firefighters. I happened to make a phone call to Sturry, and he was actually on his way back from being gone fighting fires. And so I really thank all of them. We're really blessed, and we have a great fire department. So and a great police department as well. So I think that all of us, seeing that the fires could, advance is unbelievable, and that it takes so much to put these fires out. And the fact that my garage door was closed and my car was in there, yet it was full of soot. It was just so strange that it could get in there just from the door opening and then closing that fast. But I can only imagine, what people are breathing up there. So, and thank you too to all the staff, and I welcome the new directors. And that's it.
All right. David.
So I want to welcome the new directors and our new employees that we've been hiring. They're coming so fast, it's like trying to remember names and faces, especially with the masks on. It's almost impossible. I want to give a congratulations to Miranda. You became a newlywed a couple weekends ago. Congratulations. Caltrans, I'm glad you're doing that. They're putting up a duplex under 120 bypass. I saw that going up this morning. They basically started to wall it off, so it's good. And it's nuts. It's everywhere you look on the bypass, in areas where they shouldn't be, they are. So it's good that they're starting to take care of that.
Is that part of Mayor's affordable housing plan?
Yeah, I think that's. I want to thank our firefighters. Those guys, are out there busting their butts. The first crews have come back. They've sent out second crews, so they've relieved the crews that were out there. But not only that, we've had our police go to Sacramento to help with some stuff for possible protests. Our ambulance crews have gone out to Manteca Ambulance have gone out on the incidents. So shout out to everybody that have gone out and sacrificed and gave up their time with their families to help protect us. So thank you. The other thing I want to ask about the agenda, when we get it on a Thursday evening. Staff is gone Friday, for the weekend, and it kind of leaves not a lot of time. Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you used to have the agenda out on a Tuesday or Wednesday in the past?
It used to be on Wednesday.
Is it a possibility we can push it back a day? I'd rather contact staff during business hours than on the weekends.
So when I first started, it was on Wednesday, and we quickly changed it to Thursday because it seemed like almost every agenda packet day we were publishing on Thursday. So we formally moved it to Thursday.
Since we lost Friday, I'd like to know if we could try and get it on a Wednesday just to make it a little easier for us and staff to respond to any questions that we have.
We can certainly look into that.
I appreciate it.
However, we are always available to you on Friday. So if you email us, especially the directors, we will be back in touch with you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it, Ben.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I covered everybody. Good.
5 minutes.
I actually left my list at home.
September 1 meeting, right?
All right, time to go. 5 minutes before it becomes September.
Yeah, no, but in our conversation here, I did want to ask Miranda or Lisa or whoever. I had an opportunity to go to the city's webpage today, and it is sad. I mean, really sad. And I know you guys are working on that. Any idea when we're going to have a new web page?
So we're actually just putting the committee together as we speak. And so I would say within the next couple of months, it takes some time to put together the design and to get all of the content together, because we do want it to be new, fresh content that is updated on a regular basis by each department. But rest assured, it is coming.
Okay. Okay, what time are you guys going out tomorrow to downtown?
So I was reminded it's actually Thursday. I'm already thinking we're one day ahead. So Thursday at 9.
Thursday at 9. Do you mind if the mayor goes with you?
You are welcome.
All right. Good answer. Okay, if there's nothing else, then I agree with everyone. It was a great meeting. We had some really serious discussions. And I want to thank the first responders from the city. I've been watching the news, and it's not fun out there. It's pretty damn close to hell out there. And I really am proud of all the first responders from Manteca that have gone out to help those people. Manteca is fortunate. We're not located in an area prone to wildfires, and I'm just happy that we're not. So with that, good night, everybody. Take care, stay healthy, and good night.